Hey, Rebel Rouser. I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7. We're at episode number 1575, and I'm joined in studio by studio manager Indy, who on the video version may be popping up here any second on screen. But we are here to talk about another of the Star Wars stories that we have yet to talk about. And you know what? This is the one that sort of, in my mind, was the one that really kind of made me start thinking about this whole what haven't we covered situation, because in all honesty, I swear I thought we covered this one. I really thought we did. And I think I finally figured out, what the deal was with it. I think what happened is that as I was going over the 4 stories in the Canto Bight collection of short stories, I came across a reference that was, something I saw, and I was like, wait a minute, what, this, huh, what? And realized that a reference to a particular criminal element in one of the short stories in the Canto Bight collection actually also appeared in the DJ Most Wanted one-shot comic book, and that's the one we're talking about today. So I thought I talked about it, and I kind of did just because I mentioned that overlap, but I don't think we ever really talked about the story of DJ Most Wanted at all. And the deal with that story, and again, spoiler alert, because why not? Anyway, this is the story of how he actually ends up in the jail cell that he ends up in prior to the events of The Last Jedi, and just how he ends up being where he is when Finn and Rose end up coming across him. And I would do a 7 top takeaways from this one, but the honest truth is that there is not as much to take away from it, at least not on its face. And so, I'll basically tell you what the deal is. Like, he got himself thrown in prison basically because he needed to keep from getting himself killed by rival gangs. And I'm going to take the studio manager out of the shot. Down. Now, the odd thing about it is that he is gambling at one of the casinos, and so, all right, so here's one top takeaway. The money that he's getting for all of the gambling that he's doing, well, he freely admits that he's cheating, and that part of his code-breaking work that he does includes slicing into casino systems and putting programs in there that basically make it so that the more he puts in gambling, the more he actually gets out of it. So there's, one top takeaway. We know how DJ is doing what he's doing. And it turns out that some gangster named Denell Strench is suddenly eliminating known associates, and DJ may be the last known associate that Denell Strench ever had. And so 2 honest cops, the biggest suckers in Canto Bight, according to DJ's estimate, come looking for him to ask him about it, because it turned out that there were some things stolen from a Rhodian, gangster, arms dealer, death merchant, as he's referred to, but also somebody who purports to be a saint delivering water to desert civilizations, and had won a Canto Bight trip in a contest as a result, and had code cards and self stats, as this is what it says in the story, stolen from them. And so they thought, the cops did, that that this saint bringing water to desert civilizations had the stuff stolen by the Rhodian gangster, but the Rhodian gangster had thought that it had been stolen from him by some gang called the No Johns gang, which is what appeared in the other Canto Bight story. And so when the cops arrested No Johns and tried to find out what happened, or arrested the Rhodian gangster, anyway, all of this amounted to, tying back to this Denell Strench person, whoever this is, and that this is the person who must really be behind the code cards and self-stats being stolen. Only, I guess here's your next top takeaway, this Denell Strench person doesn't exist. It's actually a made-up gangster name that DJ came up with. And bizarrely, he initially says it's an anagram of my real name, and then says, or wait a minute, not an anagram. What's the thing where you make up an identity entirely? So he backs off of that. So we're given a moment where we're like, ooh, we're going to find out DJ's real name, and then the rug gets pulled right out from under us. So, no joy there. And it turns out that the Danielle Strench thing is ultimately a situation where a vindictive droid that he taught how to code ended up breaking into his home and stealing a whole bunch of information and replacing like all of his core coding systems or something, and essentially became Danielle Strench, became this made up gangster, and then decided to take it out on DJ. Why vindictive? We don't know. We have no idea why this droid suddenly has it in for DJ whatsoever. So that in itself is puzzling. We don't know why it is this droid, has a problem with DJ, but ultimately, because he has a problem with DJ, he decides that he's going to expose DJ's cheating ways, and the only way that DJ can keep himself safe is by getting arrested by the local cops, because at least for the short run, everything will be fine that way. If he stays in jail, he thinks to himself that the casinos want to dispense their own brand of justice, and so they won't press charges. They'll just wait for DJ to be released by the cops after whatever point it is they have to release him, because they don't have any charges against him and they don't intend on pressing any charges and whatnot. So when he says that he's basically in there for just a good night's sleep when we see him in The Last Jedi, essentially he's telling the truth in a way, I guess, from a certain point of view. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But really he's saying that, his only way to get off planet in one piece was to get himself arrested by the cops. And what do you know? That's exactly how he ends up getting off planet in one piece, because he put himself in the right place, and it happened to be the right time as well for when Finn and Rose showed up. And that really is essentially all you need to know about the DJ Most Wanted one-shot story. And that also is going to do it for this episode too. So I hope you will consider subscribing to the show so that way you get the next ones delivered to you. I can tell you that one of the things that's happening over the weekend is that I'll be posting an interview with Patrick Johnson, who is a professor of physics at Georgetown University. He's the guy who wrote the physics of Star Wars, and I had another conversation with him about a topic that wasn't necessarily covered in his book, but sort of came up as part of things that we saw in The Last Jedi and Solo. And so he was gracious enough to come back on the show and basically humor my ideas about space in Star Wars. So stay tuned for that over the weekend. And of course, we'll do one other one as well. But for now, though, subscribe so you get them. I hope you'll consider supporting the effort here with a contribution at patreon.com/SW7X7, which would be awesome of you. And aside from that, the only other thing I have to say for now is thank you so much for joining me for this episode. And, of course, may the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2018 Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.